Hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of First Person, sponsored as always by the Precision Strip Company in Minster, Ohio. Generations of service and support for the Minster and New Bremen communities, all Glaze County, the people that live there and all the good things that go on in those communities. And of course, sponsors here for First Person on PressProsMagazine.com, the Precision Strip Company in Minster. Spencer Wells, the head football coach at Fort Loramie High School, is our coach, is our guest this week. And Spencer, before we talk about football, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room, as everybody knows, is will we even be able to play football? And you know, the question in my mind, and I've talked about this for the last week with football coaches in the area, is how you manage kids' psyche. Because kids aren't stupid. They know they're caught in between with this thing about the politics and the reality of the COVID virus and being in school. Are we going to be in school? Are we going to play? And you know, that just that whole business of commitment and preparedness and ready and focused. How are you and your staff handling that?
Sure. No, I think our kids have been outstanding with it. You know, one of the things that I was interested in was when we were able to finally come back at the beginning of June was you know, have they been working? And it stood out to me right away, just seeing our strength numbers, that they had been putting in the work at home. We gave them workouts to do at home, and it was clear that, you know, our kids were doing the work. And so I think that, to answer your question, it's probably easier for myself and coaches in programs that have really high expectations, because our kids know that you can't take a day off. You know, even with the uncertainty and you know, not knowing what this season is going to look like, they know that we have high expectations, and due to that, you can't take a day off. You can't take a day off practice. And when we started back up, we had our 10 camp practices here the second and third week of July. That was the message to our guys from all our coaches was, you know, we got to get better. You know, if our goal is to do what we want to do, and we've been knocking on the door the last 2 seasons, then we can't afford to waste one day. So I know there's a lot of uncertainty out there. I'm sure, you know, you turn on the TV, you can't help but hear different ideas of what this is going to look like. But at the end of the day, and I saw Coach Goodwin say it in an article you guys had the other day, control what you can control. And I think our kids and our coaches have done a nice job with that. Critics
to Press Pros Magazine, people who write to us and say, hey, you know, lives matter. It isn't a matter of black lives, all lives matter, because, you know, this virus affects all kinds of people. Lives matter more than sports, but what would life be like in Fort Loramie, Ohio, without fall sports and without football? Because that is so much a part of the culture of this community.
You know, we saw a little taste of it when our girls didn't get the opportunity to finish their state tournament in men's basketball. And you know, small schools, I've grown up in a small town, sports, you know, play such a huge role, and mainly because all of our kids do something. You know, I don't know what the percentage would be, but if you looked at it, whether it's cross country, golf, basketball, football, baseball,
don't forget
all of our
band.
Band. Our band does a great job. You know, all that cheerleading. I mean, all of our kids do something. So when schools shut down, it just it has an impact. Everyone's anxious to just get back to normal and doing things. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I'm not the what ifs of what happens this season. Who knows what it looks like? But right now, they say the plan is to push forward here August 1st. We'll see what the governor comes out and says until then. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get an opportunity to do it, because it's such a huge part of our kids in this community.
We could talk for an hour about this, but we're not. So it's time to talk football.
Yeah, let's do it.
You just mentioned on the threshold of really something special, and that being the state championship, the Final Four of football the last couple of years. 2 years ago, you lost to the state champions. Last year, you lost to the state champions, one in the regional final, one in the state semifinal. How has the impact of that worked on your kids? I know you've got talent back, you've got experience back. Arguably, you have the best Division VII offensive player in the state of Ohio, and Colin Moore, your quarterback, back. Tell me a little bit, is it motivation? Were the kids dejected? Are they coming back? What's the frame of mind?
I think absolutely motivation. You know, we've had great senior leadership. I was very lucky getting this job, and the senior classes we've had the last 2 years have done a great job that setting the mindset that these are our expectations. It takes a lot of work, but it's also realistic. You know, we see how close that we've been. And I do think that that's a step you have to take in your program. I think it's easy to say, hey, our goal is to win a state championship. We want to compete for the state championship. And I think it's good to have lofty goals. But you have to take that step of actually competing at a high level for kids to really see that, wow, we can do this. I mean, this isn't just talk. We're right there. So, as you said, the last 2 years, the playoff experience that our guys have got, we've got 16 seniors coming back, a lot of which were able to play the last 2 years. Colin Moore will be a 3-year starter. Max Hoying will be a 3-year starter. So we return a lot of guys that got a taste of it, and they know with an overtime loss last year to Marion Local, getting it done again in the state championship, they know that we're right there. So it's just extra motivation, if you need any, to take that last step and get it done. So that's what we need to do. Right there, as in you got to beat both years by the eventual state champion. Sure. Yeah, and so we know that, and those are two great programs, and they put the work in the off season, and we tell the kids that typically the score takes care of itself. We need to do our jobs right now, because this is when you win games. You come back this year for the final year of the Cross County Conference. Yeah. Covington, always competitive. Miami East, always competitive. They tell me that Twin Valley South is going to have some talent this year. Tell me a little bit about the preparedness for that and beyond. Because after this year, and I don't think this is any secret, you face independent football. Sure. And independent football, and we had this conversation a month ago on the phone one night, and you said, I think we're set up well for this. We're playing some exciting opponents. But independent football gets old in a hurry. So tell me a little bit about how you face this season as a transition to what you don't know is going to be your future. You know, I've probably thought about that more than the kids, to be honest with you. You know, you have. It's the kids are focused on, you know, our week 1 matchup, and then you know, one of our goals is to always win our conference. So we've had some good matchups the last few years. Year 1, we had a real nice matchup with Miami East. Last year, our Covington game went down to the wire. So our conference opponents, you know, we've got to take care of business and make sure we do a nice job in our preparation. But as far as an independent aspect, it's, you know, we'll see what happens. I'm excited about the schedule that we've put together is a very, very competitive schedule, and we're going to have to be ready to roll. And it should be a lot of fun. But as you said, you know, our goal is to find a conference. I know our administration is really working hard to do that. But at this point, and there's not too many choices. Sure, and that's what I was going to say. It takes 2 to tango, right? So we haven't had anyone on the other end open to us yet. So we're hoping that happens, and it's the right fit. And I'm sure that, you know, I'm optimistic something's going to work out with that. With you know, this uncertainty, you know, who knows what impact that has on football programs? With 8-man football becoming more of an option for some schools, you know, is that going to conferences? You already start to see with the BBC are starting to disband a little bit, which is going to open up opportunities, and hopefully the right fit comes along for us. So, I want to talk a little bit about pressure, because you talked about I got 16 seniors this year, and Spencer, I think everybody knows you got to make hay when the sun shines, sure, especially in sports. You can't redshirt seniors in high school sports. There is going to be some pressure this year. You have a great group with Max Hoying and with Colin and coming back, and those kids, as you said, who have had a taste. This is your 3rd year here. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about how you make the most of this, maybe once in a decade, or once like the comets, you know, that show up once in a lifetime, once in a generation. Tell me a little bit about how you make the most of this year. Because they're, again, I say, they're not naive. They know too. Sure. Well, you know, for a lot of those guys, they've been through that pressure aspect. When you look at Colin Moore being a sophomore starting quarterback on a team that had really high expectations, you know, he had to deal with that pressure. And I think Colin would tell you, and any of our players that step into a leadership role and a starting role on a team with high expectations, it's just to do your job. You start getting into more trouble. And I know it's a common coach phrase, but it's so true. You start getting, but you know what? You do start getting in trouble when you think that you got to make a lot of plays. You know, when you think that you got to make a lot of throws and you just got to do your job. We're blessed to have, you know, a lot of talented players, so it's not all on you. You've got teammates, you've got 11 guys on the field at one time. You don't have to be Superman. Just do your job and win your battle. And I think that's something that we really preached towards the end of last year was win your battle. If you don't, win the next play, get over it, win the next play, and do it for 48 minutes. And I think if you can just stay focused on that, it takes a lot of the nerves off because you're not thinking big picture. It's just, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to win my battle this play, and I'm going to do it the next play, and I'm going to do it the whole game.
Excellent stuff. Spencer Wells from Fort Loramie High School, their head football coach and one of the really fine young football coaches in the state of Ohio. Our guest this week. That wraps up this edition of First Person, again sponsored by the Precision Strip Company in Minster. As I said before, generations of support for all things good in those communities of Minster and New Bremen. And of course, we appreciate their support and sponsorship of First Person here on PressProsMagazine.com. For Coach Wells and our sponsors, again, we'd like to give you a more optimistic note about what's to expect in the upcoming weeks. We can't, but hang in there. We'll be here with another edition next time on First Person on PressProsMagazine.com. We appreciate your support. We'll see you then.